Happy Valentine's month, everybody. I'm the Sliders Review, and I'm here today to share with you some of my favorite Valentine's Day episodes from TV shows or even movies. Um, Not everything is all lovey-dovey. Sometimes Valentine's Days deal with heartache and everything. So, some episodes will be romantic and lovey-dovey, while others will be very sad and heart-wrenching and stuff. But love is love. It doesn't always come with smiles and giggles and glee. So, I'm here today to talk to you about Blackish season 1, Big Night, Big Fight. This was a very hilarious episode that did not go the way I thought it was. I was not expecting Bo to be so pissy in this episode, but pissy she was, which is very shocking because she's never really this mean, which I think, this was one of Tracy's best episodes, just the way how she performed everything. It took me by surprise. And so, with this episode, of course, it's Valentine's Day. And Andre has, something big planned for, Bo. Now, when it comes to this episode, the kids don't really have nothing to do for Valentine's Day. So they're the B plot of the story. Both the grandparents are not there. And basically, this was back in the earlier days when that of the kids were younger and Diane wasn't as savage as she was with her rudeness and stuff. She was subtle rude and everything, kind of cute kind of rude, you know what I'm saying? But when she got older, of course, she got very, very, very savage-like. And I actually like the cute, subtle rudeness as opposed to the harsh, savage kind. Because when they started making her cuss on the show, it was just kind of it just seemed kind of desperate from the writers. It's she didn't have to cuss because the things she say are pretty mean and cool as it is. So when it comes to the kids, her brother ended up getting more Valentine's Day than she did, but he said this is only half of it. The rest are at school. And she couldn't realize because, aren't that many kids in her class, but of course these are from the teachers and the teacher's relatives. Basically everybody loves him, but they don't like Diane. And it's because she's so rude. And basically every time she talks to people, she just looks at them and insults them and everything. So they try to teach her to be nicer. And it's kind of hard. It takes a good while, but they are finally able to get through to her and stuff. And then so the big test is when the pizza delivery man shows up, and she thinks she's being punked because this dude has blotches and pimples and scratches all over his face. And yeah, it's hard for her to keep her tongue in, but she's able to. But she also makes fun of Junior because he has a elongated face and stuff like that. So basically, they have tamed her savage side and everything like that. And so when Bo and Dre come back home, they realize she has changed and they don't like that. They want their rude little girl back and stuff. Oh, how they will regret it when she gets older. But let's get into the main story of this episode. It's Dre and it's Bo. So this episode was formatted differently than normally it is, and I like that. It was a nice change of pace. It made it fresh. Basically, he's talking about all the great wars that's ever happened in the world, and which leads us to him and Bo. Basically, he's wanting this to be a great Valentine's Day. He has the restaurant picked out, which he's been going to for 20 years. And he's all dressed up. So she comes in and she's wearing her regular clothes, a romper and everything, which she looks good in, by the way. And her hair looks amazing and stuff. And so he's all he'll wait in the car while she go and change. Just by saying those words set her off into a fury. And she's been in war mode the entire episode. Now, I said the same thing in my head when I was watching her come in with that romper. Because it's kind of like, why would you go to a fancy restaurant dressed like that? But she doesn't like the idea of her man telling her how she should dress and everything, making her feel like unattractive. But you're wearing regular clothes and you're going to a fancy restaurant. This ain't Mickey D's. You know what I'm saying? You dress up when you go to like a nice restaurant on Valentine's Day. So throughout the car ride, she's in a bad mood. And so when he says they go, he has a special restaurant planned out, she's like, oh, this one place you've been taking me for 20 years, it's pretty tired. Like she's doing everything she can to like, just like stomp on him and everything. So he decides to go to a completely different restaurant where he does not know nothing about the menu. So when he's there, he doesn't even know what to order and everything. Not to mention, they don't have a reservation, which he's trying to play off like they do. So she's still being rude, talking about, oh, you ain't even got no reservation and stuff. It's like she is just pissy in this episode. So when she's in the restroom, he bribes the dude to get them a seat. But the table is so close to the kitchen and so close to this other table. They basically had to squeeze them in. So she realizes he didn't have a reservation and he's just playing her and stuff. So she is getting pissed because he doesn't know what to order. So when he goes to the restroom, because he wants some alone time, this is what people do when they get upset. They always want to hide out in the restroom. I know I used to back in the day. So she is talking to the couple next to them, and the lady likes her romper. Basically, she's also pissed because Dre ordered the short rib, and I think they was all out and stuff. The couple next to them had a short rib, so she's eating the woman's short rib. And the woman's all like, "Oh, I told you can just taste a little of it." And so she looks at the lady with devil eyes, and she's all like, "You know that was supposed to be mine, right?" I'm like, I've never seen her act like this before. So while in the restroom, one of the waiters is talking to Dre, and he's giving him some really good manly advice about what's going on. Basically, there are other men in the restroom because they're having a bad night too. And so the wise waiter is like the wise janitor. And he's been observing Dre the entire night. And he tells him, look, man, you did nothing wrong whatsoever. And so all the advice he's giving him, he's all like, you know what, you are the victim in all of this, because he really is. He didn't do nothing wrong other than critique her outfit, which I'll get into a little bit later. And so he tells Drake, you know what, man, if you can play this right, you should get her to apologize to you. And if you play it really right, you're going to get special sex. And Drake's all like, what? Wait, not Drake, but Drake. I'm thinking of Drake because of that whole deposition thing. So anyways, he's all like, what is special sex? He's like, you don't know it when you get it and stuff. And so all the other guys are cheering him on in the restroom. So Dre has decided, all right, you know what? I'm going to do this. He's going to look sad. He's going to have a tear fall out his eye. And so he's going to give it to Bo so that she can get upset and apologize. But then she apologizes no matter what. And so he's shocked by all this. But then he decides to play his cards a little bit more and gamble like an idiot. So he wants her to apologize for everything she's ever done to him. This sets her off big time, worse than before. And so basically, he ain't getting nothing tonight. And I mean, absolutely nothing. And everybody feels bad for him. And the waiter's just shaking his head and calling Dre an idiot because Dre, he did it. He was going to win, but he screwed it up because of his ego. So on the driveway back, they are still arguing, and she's all like, she agreed with him. She was going to actually change her outfit before he actually said it. But when he said it, it made her feel bad and everything. But I still think, I don't understand why she got so pissed. I mean, it ain't like he commented her hair or her weight or nothing like that. It's just she knew she was wearing an outfit that was not acceptable for that night, and she went all crazy on him and stuff. I don't understand when women do that crap. Like, I really don't. I just don't understand when women do this stuff. I remember when I was in college, I had this one friend, and she was actually older than I thought. She looks young, but she was older. And so me and her used to always talk, and we started hanging out more. And so, like, I noticed something about her. The more and more friendly she started to become to me, wanting me to spend the night, like on a weekend and stuff, at her place. I'm like, what? I noticed that, like, she started to get rude all of a sudden. Anything I would say, she would get pissed at. Anything I would do, she would get pissed at. And we were never dating. We were just like friends in class and stuff. And I realized something where I told her straight up, why is it you're always trying to do this male versus female thing with me? Of course, that set her off more. I decided, you know what, I'm done with this friendship. And I stopped talking to her. And I've never talked to her since. I remember what she looks like, of course, because I took a picture of her like downtown one time. But, and also I have a good memory and stuff. But as good as my memory is, I don't even remember her name. I could care less. And so my thing is, it's like, stop going to war about the littlest things. Stop being so judgmental and stuff. It's like, it's just not healthy, and it can cause people to break up, you know what I'm saying? Or have a bad Valentine's dinner, which is what Dre and what's their name did. Now, some of the stuff that happens towards the end of this episode is that she started to confess, like, you know, things that or they both started to confess things they never did for each other. Like, she never read his story, I think Goodfellas Hunting or something like that, or Hoodfellas Hunting or something like that. She didn't like it, but he made her read it that night. And he wanted her to read another, but she didn't want to. But other than that, it's like a very different formatted episode, and the normal is very funny, especially when they're both jumping out the windows and stuff like that in their little imaginary head. It made for a very entertaining episode. Now, wasn't that romantic? Or depressing, depending on what kind of video I just talked about. Okay, well, happy Valentine's Day, everybody. And bye.